and welcome to the Scottish Football Show. Coming up, coefficient chaos. Dundee United land their best result in Europe for decades, but Rangers come a cropper against USG. In fact, no, I want to say the name properly, but I want to hear it from Finn early doors, because you said it so lovely in the show last time.
Union Saint-Gilloise.
It sounds like a recording. You have phoned Union Saint-Gilloise. Such a lovely voice. Sorry, what a long intro. The Edinburgh Derby comes to the boil as Hibs hero Martin makes a dramatic return to Easter Road in another weekend of simmering SPFL action. I'm losing my voice. And as the new season gets well and truly underway, we look at why the current TV deal fails to deliver for fans across the country. Yes, hello, I'm your host, Andrew Slaven, and joining me on the show today, as usual, West Ham United's Laura Brannan.
Hello.
Although not on the pitch, you are off the pitch, Laura Brannan. And football filmmaker, editor extraordinaire, Findlay Marks.
Hello.
Straight off the bat, your highlights of the weekend, guys.
Oh, one of my favourite things about Scottish football, and Scottish football Twitter in particular, is going through the live tweets that the official club Twitter accounts put out. There were a couple of absolute belters. There's good ones every weekend, but there were two that I wanted to pick out in particular. One was from the Montrose Twitter account from the game against Queen of the South, where they typed, 11 minutes, the Queen of the South manager, Willie Gibson, goes into the book for inferring that the referee is a clown. No. And then there was another one. Clyde's official Twitter put out a tweet saying 85 minutes. Daniel Lennon offers the linesman his glasses after he flags for a throw-in when it looked like McDonald kept the ball in play. 2-2. It's so brilliant. I absolutely love it, especially not being able to see the games live. Trolling through the live feeds is absolutely brilliant.
I'm so jealous. I'm normally working, so I don't get that opportunity. That's amazing. Laura, any for you?
I think my highlight was finding a newfound love of Scottish football.
Oh, yeah.
As if that wasn't possible already. Yeah, I covered my first EPL game at the weekend. And look, as much as it's a great experience, it just makes you miss Scottish football even more.
Are you not allowed to call it the English Premier League when you work in it?
Look, it wasn't the greatest game. I'm sure it'll get a lot more exciting as the season goes on. But it really comes down to this. Scottish football has the heart and soul. It's all about it. Like, we may not have the money, but we've got the soul, and it just makes you really, really love our game even more. Yeah. The atmosphere, the passion. It doesn't matter about the money side of it. We've got everything.
Quick one, I know it's off topic, but how big is Erling Haaland? Is he actually massive in real life?
He's a tank.
Jesus Christ. But I'll spin that and say that he couldn't score against Hibs in his first European game, so get it up him.
There's Middleton slaloming his way through. He might get it back here. It's Middleton! Well, it's not Sunday, but it is beautiful for Dundee United. And much deserved. And it means so much to the Arabs.
Yes, Glenn Middleton's first goal for the club sent the Tannadice faithful into raptures in what was one of the finest European nights for Dundee United since the golden period of the late 80s. And to enjoy that some more, we're joined by Ronny Costello from the Dode Fox Podcast. Ronny, can you explain that for me?
Dode, it's Dode.
Oh, cool.
It's the Dundonian way of saying George. So, and the George Fox stand.
Yeah, great.
George Fox is the next director, so there we go. That's how lazy we are with trying to name a podcast.
Well, I like the sound of that. It's class, man. That's class. So, listen, let me know how excited you are. Are you going to the Netherlands, my friend?
Yes, I am indeed. Trains, planes, automobiles, whatever we need to do to get there, because it's a rip-off to go for Scotland. So, we're setting off in a roundabout way. We're going via Liverpool.
Wow.
So,
oh, wow. And then taking a flight, or?
Yeah, train to Liverpool, then a flight to Amsterdam. And then, because obviously we're really good at organising things, it's a 9 p.m. kickoff over there, local time. And the local flight for us back is 12 hours later. So that's been clever in the arrangement. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get home, I don't know, but tea time on Friday into the next round. That's the hopes, that's the plans, that's the dream.
Well, I've seen some of the pictures that have been on Twitter, the queues outside Tannadice for the tickets. I mean, Has this been the most enjoyable summer to look forward to for you guys, and then obviously the result?
I mean, I think that the big thing was, you finished fourth. Overall, the football wasn't great. Some people will say we were the best of a bad bunch, which is probably fair, but someone had to finish fourth. I'm glad it was us. And then we're looking forward to the summer, and then the manager leaves, and you bring in another manager, which again is pretty normal for us, given the years that have gone by. But I think that 2-week period of Tam going and Jack coming in was... I'm on first name terms. I don't know why. Never met him in my life. So we had that 2-week spell that nothing happened transfer-wise. We didn't know what was happening. Dylan Levitt's name was getting flung about, and we thought that would be great. But most people, I think, gave up a little bit on it because he got the new deal at Man United, and then a permanent deal happened, and then deals started to come, and that's ramped up the excitement for the summer. Out of the names that have come in, I could have probably said Dylan Levitt. I would never have picked any of the other names that would have actually joined with. But it's been great. There's already been bumps in the road over the last 2 weekends, but Thursday night just made up for it, and the pure excitement and everything that was going around, it was incredible.
What was Thursday night like? It was a sellout, wasn't it? Because it looked amazing on the TV. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, I've been doing the stadium announcing now this is my 10th year, so I've been through some real horrible times as well. The banter years in the Championship, getting relegated, all that stuff. And for any time I get asked, what's my favourite atmosphere at Tannadice? And up until Thursday night, I always said the playoff game against Inverness, because it was electric that night. Yeah. Thursday was like that times 10.
Wow.
Everything about it was just incredible. There was a massive walk from one of the local pubs down to the ground. Everything about it was incredible. You just felt it. You felt not really nervous. I wasn't really nervous, but just the excitement of it, and it would build with every song you played. Every time you read a name out, it was cheer and stuff like that. And then just that 5-10 minutes before the game kicked off and the teams come out, you just thought, we're here. But then we never seen the ball for 90 seconds. We never even got near it. And you just thought, it could be a long night, but we seemed to settle into the game, and just the crowd were just right behind it from the off, and it was just an incredible atmosphere.
The way you've described it really warms my heart. It's almost like it makes me feel this is a reason why it's great to support a team outside of Celtic and Rangers in Scotland, or support a team that's not always there, that always has those experiences. Do you feel proud in that respect to support a team, Dundee United? It means so much more, these moments.
Oh, listen, the hard luck story over in Glasgow, just spending the 18 million to win a title. I mean, my heart bleeds for them every day. But for us, it's something so different. Like we spent 4 years in the Championship. Like, it was god awful. Like, it was the worst time going. We haven't won a title or a Scottish Cup since 2010. 94 before then. I've never seen. I was alive when we won the League Cup. 79 and 80. And I was barely alive when we won the league in 83. So, that's just, you live for days like that. But it's only half time. Like, and the biggest thing was staying the tie, and to go there 1-0 this week is really exciting. To get in the next round would be really exciting. And then if you were to get in the group stage, I'm not sure. I think I'd combust. I want these nights. I want to be there on the Thursday nights or the Wednesday nights or the Tuesday nights and whatever. And it's been over a decade since we've been in Europe as well. So I think we were right to enjoy it. I'm just glad we got the positive result.
Ronnie, I think you should do the team talk on Thursday night. Just looking to that game then, what are your thoughts going into this game? Like, is it actually possible? Can they do it over 2 legs?
I generally think we can do it. I think we'll have a great following over there. Officially, I think there's 1,300 fans in the ground. They've only sold maybe 5,000 tickets, apparently. Maybe they thought it was going to be a walkover. It's nothing to fear now. We know what we're going to be up against. It might be backs to the wall at times as well, but we've shown that on the break we can be dangerous, and I think if we get 1 or 2 chances, I think we'll take it. It's hugely important to score first. Hugely important.
You think I'm going to answer a stupid question like that?
Continuing our European preview, Finn, Laura, let's look ahead to Rangers at home against Union Saint-Gilloise, as you said eloquently, Finn, in the intro. They were, let's be fair, really poor in that first leg, and 2-0 was, I guess, flattering, Finn. Do you agree?
Yeah, it could have been way, way worse. I think if Tavernier wasn't on the line right at the death, it could have been, and probably should have been worse. I can't recall Rangers having a more insipid European display. I mean, there was also one of the most ludicrous VAR decisions I've ever seen to give USG the penalty from which they scored the second goal, but it's not an excuse. It wasn't the reason that Rangers lost the game, was purely that decision. I think it was a collective thing. I think Giovanni van Bronckhorst entirely got his tactics wrong. He got the team wrong. But on top of that, every single player just had an absolute shocker. I saw somewhere that some people were saying that maybe Rangers had a bit of a lack of respect for USG. I think it was probably the other way. I think there was probably a bit too much respect. I think the opening 10 minutes of the game, USG looked like they were not nervous, but they were definitely trying to suss it out. And as soon as they figured out that nothing was happening in midfield, I don't know why, but Glenn Kamara was played as almost like as the 10 in the Joe Aribo role, and was absolutely miserable because that's not his position. I think Giovanni van Bronckhorst thinks he can play there, but he can't. So there were two defensive midfielders and at times a back three as well. So there was utterly no link between the midfield and going forward. And obviously, if they perform anything similar this week, they'll be out, no question. Have they got it in them to turn the tie around? I think so. If they play to their capabilities, and if Ibrox is rocking the way that it was in a lot of the European games we saw last year, if they get an early goal, I don't think there's any reason that they can't turn around a 2-0 deficit. They'll have to go some, and they've not got history on their side because Rangers have actually never overturned a 2-0 aggregate scoreline from a first leg in a European tie before.
Is that real? Seriously?
Yeah, they've never been able to do it.
But then how many times have they been 2-0 down from the first leg?
I think in their history, I think there's been 5 occasions where Rangers have been chasing a 2-0 deficit from a first leg defeat. Most times it's ended up with away goals being the reason that they've gone out, which isn't a problem now. I think the crucial thing is who gets the first goal. I think if it's USG, the tie's dead. I think if Rangers get it and they get it early, there'll be definitely cause to think that they can push on and try and overturn the result. Morelos being back, even just psychologically, is massive for Rangers because you just saw with Morelos missing, obviously he's been out for a couple of months, but with Kent missing in the first leg as well, Rangers just had no player that was desperate to get the ball, to try and do something and progress the play going forward.
Yeah, this is the sort of game where it's all about the first 10 minutes to make an impression. It's not about who can you bring on as a super sub with the last 20 minutes to go. You need to look at like the way Motherwell's tie went. They had a chance to turn it around going into the second leg, but they conceded after only, 5 minutes or so? To concede at such a crucial time in the second leg, it killed it, and it meant the whole game was dead after that. You don't want that again happening for Rangers this time round. They need to go out there straight away, full intentions, laid on a plate, we're going to go and get this and turn this tie around. There's no point waiting till like the last 10 minutes.
Well, obviously Rangers dispatched Kilmarnock pretty well at the weekend. They'll need a little bit more than that on Tuesday night, but fingers crossed we'll have plenty more Scottish teams still flying the flag in Europe for us. But after this, we've got plenty more.
Football, bloody hell.
We touched on the fact that Hibs didn't exactly have the most impressive pre-season or start to their campaign, which saw them out of the League Cup, including a few embarrassing off-the-field incidents. But a win on the opening day to St Johnstone and an emphatic equaliser at Easter Road in the Edinburgh Derby on the weekend just gone by. Thankfully, we've got Gavin Wilson from Hibs Talk Podcast to help us dissect the last few weeks. Gavin, it's been kind of up and down. What's your assessment been so far?
Yeah, teething issues with the new management, a lot of new players. I'm trying to be patient and think, it's a rebuild and it's going to take time. But yeah, the League Cup was definitely a warning sign, if anything.
Pretty embarrassing, to say the least. The whole Rocky Bashiri saga, you say it was a warning sign. What did it feel like at the time?
I mean, like I said, I wasn't too. Obviously, it was embarrassing playing a player that shouldn't be playing. But the thing is, like, even if Rocky hadn't been, Martin, the result hadn't changed to Martin 3-0 win. Martin still won on penalties, and Hibs still went out regardless. So off-field things played no part in it. Like the on the pitch was a major issue and concerning. That you look at that group that Hibs were in and think, right, okay, that's no disrespect to the teams in it, but that should be 4 wins, and it wasn't, and quite concerning.
And what about Lee Johnson? Some of his interviews and stuff like that. He's quite an interesting character. What have you made of him so far?
Yeah, I like his honesty and his passion and stuff. And he speaks about wanting to win and, wanting to win every game. And it doesn't matter if it's Old Firm or whatever, just wanting to win every game. I like that sort of stuff. like what he says about the style of football, because I think under Maloney we had a lot of possession, and it was kind of like, right, what we were trying to do it, and we're just passing about the defence. Whereas he said, in like his first day, he was like, there's no point in having possession and not doing anything with it.
Yeah,
you know, I want to get the ball moving forward faster and stuff. And I've seen that at times, but I still to see that, and I'm kind of trying to be patient. Except, you know, what's it, like 12 new signings or something? It's going to take time to embed them in, embed these new ideas. So trying to be patient, except there's going to be teething issues.
And what about on Sunday? The whole story was Martin Boyle, the return. But talk to me about the first goal, the defending. I'm bringing back Rocky Bashiri here because he had an absolute shocker, mate. I don't know what, not just Bashiri, but Porteous as well. I don't think a defender should ever find himself in those positions, which has to be like a pretty difficult time for Johnson to try and turn that around. But what's your thoughts?
So I was just recording a Hibs Talk there with the guys, and they were talking about, we'll talk about the goal, and we'll talk about Kenny not getting the ball and Cabraja not clearing it. They're like, no, that was Rocky and Porteous. I was like, no, they got completely dragged. We watched it back, and they were like, oh my God, what are they doing that much out of position? Like, Cadden doesn't stop the cross. Porteous comes to try and help stop the cross as well and gets completely dragged out of position. I don't know where Rocky's going. He goes wandering. And then when the ball's floated over, Shanklin's already taken his first touch and Kenny's looking the other way.
Just at the end of the game with Martin Boyle coming on, it was the kind of fairy tale ending. How important is he coming back into the Hibs team? Because he does have this kind of talismanic quality.
I remember the Ross County manager, or one of the old Ross County managers, I think it was Kettlewell speaking, saying about when he set up against Hibs, when Martin Boyle was playing, he set up his team like 10 yards further back or something, or 20 yards. I can't remember what the exact thing, but like, you know, they completely changed his approach just on Martin Boyle. As from a Hibs point of view, we've kind of been saying, you know, when Martin Boyle was there last season, are we too reliant on Martin Boyle? If a team can keep Martin Boyle quiet, or Martin Boyle doesn't have a good game, Hibs don't have a good game, and it's like, right, okay, then Boyle leaves, and it's like, right, who are we going to replace Boyle with? And it's like, right, and it's so that effectively we've lost Boyle for 6 months, got what, 1.5 million, I think it's ended up, and replaced him with Martin Boyle coming back. So that issue still kind of comes up about, you know, maybe a bit too reliant on him. I mean, I'll be honest, I thought Hibs were rubbish on Sunday. Martin Boyle wasn't. So that's kind of, again, a bit over reliant on him. But like I say, that's what you need. You need a talisman. You know, I think, you know, Hearts last season, just like say, because we're talking about him Sunday, Gordon and probably Barry Mackay, 2 talismen. If they don't perform, I don't think Hearts perform either. Yeah. So, you know, that teams need good players to kind of perform a lot. Some of the new signings have seem really exciting. Cabraja, I think, looks really like high quality. It's one of those ones I'm like, what's he doing here?
Tough act to follow though with Doig leaving.
Aye, but nice. I've been very impressed with him so far. Even like the game on Sunday, there was a bit where he tried to do like a bit like a flick. Like he put his leg over and then kicked the ball and never worked. But I'm like, a left back trying that like, in the opposition box. That's great. Love that. Tavares obviously suspended at the weekend, but his pace on one side, Johan's pace up top, and then balls on the right. You know that a lot of defenses wouldn't like those 3 running at them. So, and like I say, you've got options as well with Doige, Melkerson and Nisbet come back. There's a lot of good players there. So I think we still need something in the midfield, but encouraged by the rest of the team.
Just one question before we let you go. When Lee Johnson was appointed, did it bother you that he played for Hearts in the past?
No, it was like, what, 4 games under the whole Abramovich thing where like, where they signed everybody. So no, it doesn't bother me slightest.
The dogs bark and the caravan passes. The caravan keeps moving. The caravan keeps going.
Right, well, let's get stuck into a roundup of the weekend of classy SPFL. We'll start with the biggest game in Scotland at the weekend, which was Hibs Hearts. It ended 1-1 and things took off in controversial fashion, Finn. A lot of people saying it was a handball for Lawrence Shankland, which was a well-worked goal nonetheless.
I honestly didn't see it. I didn't think it at the time, and even on the replays, it really just looks like the top part of his shoulder, which is absolutely fine. The IFAB rules state it's from the bottom of the armpit is where the arm starts, technically. So I actually thought it was a brilliant goal. I thought the way that Mackay, it was like a reverse pass, but like for a 20-yard chip.
It was a no-look pass, mate.
It was incredible. Like,
yeah.
And we know Barry Mackay can do this. We talked about it last week. But for me, it's the control and positioning from Shankland to get in between the 2 Hibs defenders, to control it firstly on his chest, and then the composed finish with the outside of the boot. Just It's the only time he could have hit it to get it beyond the goalkeeper when he did. I've kind of decided that Hearts only score good goals now. Like, they don't score tap-ins and sclaffed efforts, just beautiful goals all round. Because the 2 goals they scored last weekend were absolutely magnificent as well.
I have to disagree with you on Hibs' defence because they were non-existent in that goal. Bashiri and Porteous were nowhere near it. I think it was Cabraja who tried to get a leg at it. But Shanklin scoring, Laura, I mean, you were expecting him or wanting to see big things from him. This is a fairly good start in the second weekend of the Prem.
Yeah, do you think I fired him up with my comments in the episode a couple of weeks ago saying I think maybe Hearts was a step up too far for him? Well, I mean, it's a good way to prove me wrong. Go out the Derby, score a goal straight away, you know. It's a great start for him, and it's exactly what I was hoping to see from him, to see him step up. As we all kind of know, Dundee United's a great level for him. He got his Scotland caps while he was at Dundee United. To see him then to step up to a club even higher than that, okay, maybe not hugely higher, but still a step up in terms of Scottish football. It can only be good for him, good for Hearts, good for Scottish football, good for Scottish international football.
Yes, and Martin Boyle getting the equaliser in the dying minutes was pretty emphatic, and you saw Hearts, it felt like a defeat for them. Elsewhere in the Prem, there were wins for Livingston, Celtic, and a quality last minute winner for St Johnstone away at Motherwell. Stevie May, my God, that was insane, because Motherwell equalised in like the 91st minute. That was just, yeah, next level stuff. And of course, Aberdeen with a huge win, really, in terms of goals, that is. 4-1 against St Mirren. They looked really good in this game.
I think what helped them definitely was Declan Gallagher being sent off so early, arguably doing more to help Aberdeen this weekend than he did during his entire season last year as an Aberdeen player.
That's a fair point.
Do you think it was a sending off?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, come on.
I'm not having it. It's a second yellow. They're both yellow card offences.
But the thing is, it shouldn't be a second yellow. It should either be a red card or nothing at all, because it was Dogso. So I don't understand why the ref showed a yellow for this.
It's one of the annoying rule changes around handballs. By the letter of the law, it's a yellow card and it's a penalty.
But he's denied a goal scoring opportunity, so how is it not a red?
I think because it's not a deliberate one.
Oh. See, this is what I don't like, right? Because if you can argue that it's not deliberate, then why punish the player? Because the way that
he stopped a goal.
Either way, Laura, he still ended up off the pitch, which was the correct decision. He shouldn't have stayed on it.
I think it's harsh because he's made no forward movement to the ball. He's made no effort to defend the ball. He's actually defending the previous attempt on goal, and he's turning with his arm already on the ground. He's supporting his arm is essentially his leg. He's supporting his body weight.
No. I would agree with you if he was support. I don't think he is trying to support himself. I think there's more movement. I think there's more movement. I think it's definitely a second yellow.
It's a shame because this game, I think, was always weighted towards Aberdeen winning regardless. And that happened quite early on, and it kind of killed the game as a competition, so it kind of ruined the fixture for me.
I have to say, the 2 goals that really stood out for me, the guy Leighton Clarkson, who's came on loan from Liverpool. My God, I mean, okay, he's came on loan from Liverpool, but that is a Gerrard level spank, by the way. It was quality. And by all accounts, he only met his teammates at breakfast. So he'd hot footed it just that morning to get up there, or the day before. But what an impact he made. But also Luis Lopez, or Duke, as he's called. What a dink from Duke. Elsewhere in the SPFL, Partick Thistle won, Hamilton won, and an incredible goal from Partick's Jack McMillan. Finn, what was this like?
Well, sadly, it was an own goal. I'm sure everybody listening to the show will have seen the goal, but it's astonishing. I've never seen a goal like it. Basically, there was the ball is kind of trundling through to the edge of the box, so the Partick goalkeeper runs out to try and hoof it clear, manages to hoof it right into the side of Jack McMillan, who's about 25 yards out from goal. It cannons off his chest or back or part of his upper body, and then just goes into the empty net. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, that gave Hamilton the lead, but Partick were able to salvage a draw in the end. An
absolute stinker in the Scottish Championship. But in League One, Airdrie with a blistering 4-0 win over Falkirk. And a great stat that I read from SPL Stats. It's the first time they've won their opening 2 league games in 10 years. Great thing to get off their back. But they've also scored 6 goals and conceded 0 in their 2 opening games. And in League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose have continued their good start to the season. 2 from 2. Finn, you've put this in the script. You couldn't help yourself, could you? Sean Connery's former employers.
Oh, it's one of my favourite things. Like how many clubs can say they've had James Bond as one of their former players? It's fantastic. I don't think he was much cop as a Bonnyrigg player, but apparently there is one reference in the Dalkeith Advertiser from 1951 that described him scoring a 30-yard shot in a 3-1 defeat by Broxburn Athletic. So he's always got that as well in his locker.
I'm enjoying watching to see where they go with this, because, well, as you say, 2 wins out of 2 now, 5 goals scored, none conceded so far. And it's like Robbie Horn, the manager, was saying, if we keep winning games, hopefully the fans will keep coming. And it's kind of got that element of the whole, if they build it, they will come sort of feel to it. And they're just sort of growing right now, and it's a fresh new journey for them, and it's really exciting to just see where they can go with this.
Well, in true, let's keep this film theme going, because the real villain was Kevin Smith, who'd been at East Fife for 9 years and scored the 3rd goal for Bonnyrigg Rose. So an absolute unlucky. And Queen's Park 2, Ayr United 3. This is another great stat from SPL Stats, so I doff my cap off to you, sir. Ayr came from 2 goals behind to win away from home for the first time since February 1999. So 2 goals from Deepo Akinyemi and Sean McGinty sealing those points. Some great stories all throughout the divisions, and we're only in the 2nd week of this wonderful season.
Regret it's not, it's good laugh on it. So I didn't find it funny.
Now, you might have seen a lot of fans talking about the current SPFL TV deal at the weekend off the back of Celtic fans not being able to watch the game against Ross County unless they actually travelled to Dingwall. Former STV broadcaster and former Motherwell head of communications Grant Russell tweeted out a really interesting thread explaining why that game and all others not shown by Sky aren't available to watch in the UK. And Grant joins us now to go into a little bit more detail. So, Grant, you've got everyone talking about it. What was so different about Saturday's game that kicked it all off?
Yeah, a bit of a perfect storm, really. It's fairly unusual that either Celtic or Rangers, if they're playing a match, it's not picked by Sky, an away match that is, and then broadcast by Sky wherever in the country they are. But because Sky picked the Edinburgh Derby, you had Celtic travelling up to Dingwall 3 o'clock on a Saturday. So the perfect storm being, one, we have in the UK, we have the blackout rule for Saturday 3 o'clock, that you're not allowed to show any games in Scotland and England. And also we have this unusual and little spoken about part of the contract where Sky pay for 48 matches to broadcast 48 matches, but they essentially hold prisoner every other Premiership match, so that not even any club at all can broadcast it on their own platforms, which was different from last season during COVID times when permission was given by Sky to do so.
I'm just kind of curious as to why, because the 3 o'clock blackout thing's been such a big thing for forever in the UK, and a lot of other countries don't have something similar. With the pandemic happening and crowds now starting to come back, and it's not really affected the numbers when games are both live and have a crowd in, is it not time to kind of change or look to changing that rule, the 3 o'clock blackout rule in the UK?
You know, it's only England and Scotland and all of UEFA nations, of all the UEFA nations that have this blackout now. There used to be 6 or 7 pre-pandemic, and now it's just those 2 countries. So not even Wales and Northern Ireland. Interesting. Wow. Is it time to change? Look, in my opinion, yes, but you probably have to factor in many things. And one is I don't want to say archaic attitudes, because there are so many good people in Scottish football now who truly want to innovate and try and find a way to strike that balance between will it affect match attendances and will people pay for streams. But last year was essentially this, in all but name, trial of it, because we had pay-per-view running in tandem with people coming to games. Did it affect crowds? Well, no one's really kind of come out and spoken either way. No one's really said, well, here's the data, and it did or didn't have an effect. I can speak anecdotally and say, well, Motherwell had record season ticket holders, had great crowds. The pay-per-view numbers weren't actually fantastic. But the option was at least still there, and at least there was an opportunity if it was marketed correctly by the clubs and by the league, and there was a bit more forward thinking. You then open up the possibility to other audiences to watch games.
You said that Sky pay for 48 games but effectively hold every other Premiership match prisoner. How does that actually work?
Yeah, so they pay £25 million a year for the right to broadcast up to 48 games. But built into that contract is for the fact that the SPFL nor the clubs can sell secondary rights in the UK and Ireland. So we can't go to a BT, to a Viaplay, Premier Sports previously, BBC, and offer that up now. Now the contract is locked in. And similarly, the clubs have no right. For example, Motherwell against St Johnstone at the weekend, Motherwell have no right to be able to go out to market to their own fans on their own platform to do it and to sell the game. And that's because the way the contract is written, Sky have the exclusivity to all games, even the ones that they don't show. And it's an unusual and really quite bewildering quirk of the contract that Sky pay for 48 games, and that's great, and they're a very valued partner to Scottish football, and you really keep the lights on a lot of clubs. But it's the fact that all these other games are essentially held under lock and key, which is really, really confusing, and is the one thing that when the TV deal comes around for negotiation, which is going to be soon for 2025 onwards, the club simply must say to Sky, look, we need to unlock this. Yeah.
But surely this is a bit backwards. Does this not encourage more illegal streams and essentially taking money away from the game?
No, that's precisely what's happening. Because you have this situation where, I'm sitting in London, same with Andrew as well, and it's different for Finn for where he is, but we're sitting here and we've absolutely no legal mechanism on Saturday 3 o'clock to watch our teams play. And so we're driven towards IPTV, we're driven towards any illegal stream we can find. So the money flows out of Scottish football and really creates this atmosphere and an attitude that, well, when it even did become available, well, I'm not going to pay £15 to Motherwell to watch a stream because I can go and find it for nothing. When the SPFL have got no real appetite to try and drive to chase after illegal streamers unless it's on a commercial level, and that's understandable given resource. But yeah, it is exactly doing that, and unless we create a product that's actually viable for people, is actually well promoted, is actually able for us to do, then this is what's going to happen, and it will continue to happen for decades to come unless we step up now and create a product. There's no point chasing down illegal streamers. Let's actually create a product where people can legally purchase games.
It had been mooted a long time ago of an SPL TV when it was under the SPL banner. Would you be in favour of an SPFL TV sort of deal similar to the likes of IMG have with PLP, Premier League Productions?
It comes down to the appetite of the clubs, because on an international basis where we do sell centrally the one game a week to international partners, the clubs then have the rights to sell their matches to international supporters. So you've got Rangers and Celtic TV, for example, which are huge revenue drivers for both of the clubs. And there's only one place the revenues from those purchases go, and it's straight into the pockets of Celtic and Rangers. And it's not there is no collective deal in that sense. So if you were to replicate that model in UK and Ireland, there would have to be an attitude change, and it would have to be a desire from those two clubs in particular to bring all those revenues in centrally, because if not, you're allowing the rich to get richer. But if you leave the economic side of it or take it to one side at the moment, it absolutely is the way forward for the product. If we had the pay-per-view last year and the SPFL wouldn't signpost what games were happening on pay-per-view because they were happening on 6 different club channels, and it was just an absolute disaster trying to pull that all together in one place. If you have a central platform, then it's easier for me, the supporter, you, the supporter, or even the casual fan to find and have access to games that they either want to watch or might watch casually as well. And I should say, technology already exists. The vast majority of clubs in the Premiership use the same streaming provider just on their own little silos. It's very possible to bring that all together. It's all flowing into the one building and it's all coming out of the one building. So it's really possible to build the tech for that to be one central platform.
How do you convince clubs like Celtic and Rangers, because let's face it, they're the two that are really going to make or break something like this if it was ever to come to fruition? Because they'll look at the money aspect of it, and if one decides against it, all the cards fall down. So how do you actually change that outlook?
It's about creating a vision. It really is as simple as that. If we just go to Celtic and Rangers and say, yeah, but come on, give us your cash. Well, no thank you. But if someone comes forward with an actual proposal that is, look, this is really for the good of Scottish football, you will definitely benefit and your revenues will definitely grow and we're creating audiences for you for the future. But similarly, we're strengthening the Scottish game, then that's the argument to take it forward. It is the only argument. It's essentially really, it's appealing to their greater good, in a sense. That's all you can really do.
Have you got faith that we've got the right people in charge at the top of the game to help facilitate those changes and to make this kind of better future for the Scottish game happen?
Absolutely, I do. And genuinely, especially at club level, you've got really good people. Alan Burrows, Keith Lasley, Derek White, who was at Livingston, who's now gone off to Hibs. I mean, of course, Ron Gordon, Dave Cormack. People who actually see the genuine opportunity to try and change things and actually push something forward. Because ultimately this has to be driven by the clubs. Yeah. Neil Doncaster is the very easy target for everyone to say he's doing a crap job, but ultimately he's actually quite good at his job. And really what he's doing is to represent the interests of the clubs. It's the clubs that have to drive this, and there are genuinely good people in place who have the attitude and the desire to want to do that.
Right, that's it from us. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Laura and Finn. And Finn, for me, please, just one more time, say Union Saint-Gilloise, please.
I hope this is the last time I ever have to say this name. Union Saint-Gilloise.
It's just beautiful. What a lovely tone. Thanks to Ronny as well from Dode Fox Podcast, Dundee United fan. He's off to the Netherlands. Good luck to him. Thanks to Gavin from Hibs Talk Podcast for joining us as well. And to Grant for telling us how we should fix television forever. We'll be back next Tuesday. We'll see you then.